dream, if I had a dream encounter of having a mentor that really knew what was going on and had an understanding about price action that was unrivaled, what would it be like? How amazing would it be to be able to see them outline something and it come to pass all the time? Just literally just at the fingertips, just go out there and say, okay, here's what's going to happen and watch it happen. Because I was frustrated as a young man, expecting simply because the market was oversold based on a 10 period stochastic, on an hourly chart. I figured that that's enough for me to call it oversold. I had no idea what I was doing. And because it was oversold and it started crossing up and the K and D lines were crossed and they were starting to go up, which we call stacking now, um, that means it should go up tomorrow. That means it should start going up. And I could be a buyer because I only wanted to be a buyer. And then I would watch the things that I try to do then not work. And it would create anger in me. Like I was resentful that the stochastic didn't lift price up. I had a 50-day moving average. It was slanted up. It was pointing up. So therefore, I didn't need to know about a trend line, which I still have no belief in. I think it's bullshit. But the 50-day moving average, simple moving average, that eventually became an exponential moving average. If it was sloping up, and if you were looking at like a trend line, if it had an angle that was inclining, that told me that I want to be a buyer. And all I needed was to see an oversold condition on an hourly chart with the 10 period stochastics. And once it was oversold, I waited for the K and D lines to cross. And then once it came up out of the oversold, the next day, I wanted to be a buyer. What was I trying to do? I was waiting for the opening price to go down first. Why? Because Larry Williams was teaching me to be a buyer of strength. And every time I tried that, Larry, no disrespect, but I had my ass handed to me. I was buying many times as an institutional order flow on a fucking short sell and a fair value gap. And then it would rip lower and it'd tear my face off. Now, I didn't know that back then. Nobody else was talking about that shit then. But I learned these lessons from losing money. I lost a lot of fucking money doing shit that I thought was working or should have worked and it didn't. And I would get angry, resentful. I would be mad. These fucking indicators. And I would try to mess around. See if I can get the settings to be calibrated. We're going to calibrate the indicators tonight, Uncle Stan. Uncle Stan, I got it down. We're going to go to a 9 period because that's going to make a fucking world of difference, right? It didn't do shit. It just gave me another excuse to go out there the next day and lose more money. That's all it did. I was not looking at price. I was not looking at price. And as soon as I discovered where I was going wrong by looking at indicators, then I said, okay, let me go back to the logic. Okay, and this is for the crowd that's listening that love stochastic. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to use it and make money. Okay, you ready? What did you just say? Oh shit! Now you wait. I'll wait for you to get your pen and pad. Now you want to write shit down, right? Yeah, I'll give you a second. I gotta write this down. He's talking about indicators now. That's my shit. That's my jam. Now let's go back and go through the normal process of a normal, well-adjusted ICT student. We're looking at a weekly chart. We come to the conclusion that we expect that weekly chart to resume going up. Okay, it has unfinished business. It's an imbalance above price. It could be reaching up into, or relative equal highs, or a singular high it's gravitating towards. Is that complicated? Because it's going to be one or the other, or in a better condition, it's going to offer both. That means you have a real strong probability that the weekly expansion is going to be up. Doesn't mean we're trying to predict the weekly close. It just means that our focus should be primarily focused on a gravitation in price going higher. That means, bottom line is, we are trying to be a buyer going into the next week. I'm not saying that's the case for this coming week. I'm saying hypothetically from a rule-based idea. So that way we're setting a foundation for the implementation of an overbought, oversold, i.e. stochastic. So this is how I learned to move away from the indicators, but I had first this stage. Once I understood how to read price, then I could go back in and say, okay, now I'm in a position where I think the market was going to go higher. Now I still haven't learned how to short sell yet. That was too scary for me. Like, I didn't understand selling something I couldn't have my hands on. Like when I buy something, I have it. When I bought shares, or I bought an option, or I bought a commodity futures contract, I understood that I have now the right to that. I can take delivery of it if I wait long enough. But selling short something that I don't even have didn't make any sense to me. So putting that aside for, you know, well, I've talked about it in the past, but this example is we're expecting the price to go higher. Okay, wonderful. Now go back to that premise of waiting for the market to open up. I abandoned buying strength because I learned that Larry Williams said that he wanted to understand how people could be a buyer below the opening price on big bullish days. And he was demanding that he see a 20% of the previous day's range be above the opening price for the S&P. And then he would be a buyer. To me, in hindsight, looking back at it, I discovered that I was many times buying on a 10 o'clock high, and then my stop loss that would be retracing down to a silver bullet that down today would be a new entry or really a more sound entry if you didn't buy below the opening price. I would get stopped out there. And then what would happen? Think. I went long buying strength. Then it retraces on me. My stop loss gets hit or it scares me and I close the trade. But it goes into what you understand now as the fair value gap, which is a silver bullet. What's price going to do? Take off. I'm not in it. I'm demoralized. I'm angry. I'm upset. So I learned from that. I said, okay, I'm not going to wait for that retracement. I'm going to buy it as it drops underneath the opening. If I think it's going to go up, I want to find out where we open, and I want to see it drop down. So all I would do is use a 15-minute time frame. And whatever the low was, it was real close to going left. Whatever the first 15-minute low was, I don't care if it was two handles. That was what I needed it to go below. Once it did that, then I started buying it. In the beginning, it did not work well. It was me going in and losing lots of money doing that. I would go in and I would condition myself to say, okay, I'm going to figure this out because he says he wishes he could learn this. I'm going to fucking learn how to do that. I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm not going to lose more money with something I can't replicate with him saying he's willing to do that. That was the biggest milestone in my development by understanding that a mentor, like for all of you, you might have seen me do something. Okay. And there's a lot of my students that are guilty of this. And I understand because I experienced it myself. When you have a hero that you look up to and you're trying to learn from, it doesn't need to be trading, to be anything. And they can do something that you try very hard to emulate and try to do as close as you can to what they're able to do, and you fail, it builds a certain measure of animosity. It may not manifest itself vocally or in a manner where other people can see it, but internally you feel it and you wrestle with it. I was angry at Larry Williams because I felt like he was teaching something incomplete when he really wasn't. His stop loss allowed for a lot of gross retracement that I, as a trader, was unwilling to absorb, and I didn't have the money to absorb it. So I had to create something that was inspired as a challenge. I took it as a challenge. He said he couldn't. Well, shit. At that time, I couldn't make 10,000 become $1.2 million a year. I couldn't do that then. I can fucking do it next year, but that time I can't. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to scratch the itch the best I can and start delving into an area where he said he can't do that. Okay. I'm going to try to do something that he said he can't, and I think he's Mr. Everything in trading. So I'm going to devote my time into that. And I lost a lot of money trying to figure out a system of determining, how far will it drop down? How far will it go down? And then I started looking for, more than single swing lows, and I'd start seeing the two relative equal lows. And then I would look at the overnight Globex low, and then there would be this little tiny segment of price action where it was one candle, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, resting right below relative equal lows. That was my banger. That was the one I wanted. That's the very setup that cracked the code for me that I figured out, okay, when that forms, I know that's the day that this fucker is going to make the low right there in that fair value gap, which I didn't call it a fair value gap then, but it traded down into that. That would be my initiation to go in long, because what is it doing? It's knocking out stops. It's taking out a support level, and it's going into an inefficiency. So that's where it's going to go. So if I can get my order in to buy as it drops down in a time when I think the weekly chart is going to go up, what am I doing? I'm buying below the opening price. What opening price, ICT? I know some of you are like, you keep talking about the opening price. What the fuck opening price you talking about? Well, if I'm going to be up in the morning session trading the 9:30 opening, or if it was, the bond where I was trading the bonds, prior to equities opening, it's the opening price at the open outcry pit at the time, because back when I was trading in the 90s, we didn't have electronic trading. It was open outcry. So there was a whole lot of horse shit of calling the broker, and you heard all that stuff before. And the whole time the market's moving around. So you have to use limit orders. To trade like this, you had to have your limit orders resting in the marketplace, because you can't call up and do a market order. The shit's already gone, right? So what I discovered was that when the market would create these buying below the opening conditions, which were highly primed to go up, I was in an area where I felt very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Empowered, because it was repeating a lot. And I knew I had something, and I wanted to still go back in and ring in the stochastic, because it wasn't on my chart. And I felt like it would make it better if I did this. So I put the 10 period stochastic on an hourly chart back on my chart, and use the same logic. It has to be oversold. And then once it becomes oversold, does that same idea of the opening price see that drop down? And the whole aspect of a Judas goat came to mind. Like, if you've ever raised animals or whatnot, if it's usually like pigs, goats, sheep, they employ a goat that's called a Judas, and it walks the livestock up to the slaughterhouse, but it takes a small little detour. It takes one little exit that the other ones won't. So it gets to be safe from the slaughterhouse, but it leads all the ones to slaughter. That initial drop down when the market's predisposed to go up, that's what I dubbed it as a Judas swing. Now, it led me astray many times when I was trying to be a short seller, because I was so excited about learning how to do short selling. I even got caught up in many times a Judas swing. So I had to relearn a lot of things and get my mindset corrected from those things, because I was chasing something new, shiny new object syndrome. So I abandoned what I had already learned by what I just told you here. That's how quick and easy it is for you to derail yourself and forget all the progress that you just made. If you see something new, okay, something new, or someone comes out and says ICT's unpublished or previously never shown before, or unleaked videos, bullshit, all that stuff, that's not going to help you, because everything that's going to teach you conceptually is already on the YouTube channel. It's equivalent to you now watching the videos of me taking a trade. It might be entertaining. Like, wow, look at that. I can see him doing it. But could you benefit from it monetarily? No. But you can see me using it. You have enough of that already. You don't need to buy into anything else. There's no reason for it. So it's important that you understand my departure from being on social media shouldn't be an invitation for you to just drop all progress and just say, that's it, I can't do it anymore, because I can't be inspired. ICT's not here to encourage me when I am. Go back and listen to old Twitter spaces. It's the same thing as I'm saying it now. For some of you, you're going to be listening to this months from now. You're going to get the same thing. Everything I'm saying here is timeless. It's an approach to taking something, like, if Many of you probably like that guy, Tony Robbins. You pay a lot of money for his stuff, his CDs, or read his book or whatnot. Those things are old, they're stale. But when you read them and they resonate with you, it feels like it's a right now word for you, right? This is I needed this right now. This is refreshing. I needed it. Well, I've already given you all of that. It's already there. You don't need an ongoing thing of me. There's thousands of hours of content that you can listen to be inspired by, and other things to maybe laugh about. So, I mean, you have everything that you need. But having that stochastic idea, I realized that, it became a matter of confusion where I was watching to see if the stochastic would behave a certain way versus seeing price behave a specific way. So I finally cast it off my chart and said, I'm not going to have any of that anymore. Nothing. And like I said many times before, the only time I have anything on my chart is because I know that you will be seeing what I'm doing. And I want you to see that I have this in my foresight. It's not something that I'm writing into my chart and annotating after the fact. I see it before it does it. And that is prowess. That's undeniable evidence and proof that it repeats. It's a real logic. And in my private group, I think it was last week. If memory serves me correct, I think it was last week. I'm getting older, folks. Senior moments kicking in once in a while. But I shared an example with them, and I was showing it by way of my cell phone. And I didn't notice it or not, but to me, it was just me just doing what I always do anyway, which is execute on what I see in price. But TradingView had asked me to confirm my status, professional or unprofessional, for the data. And if you have a subscription package for real-time data, you know what I'm talking about. So because I hadn't responded to their questionnaire about it, they had disrupted my live data. So I was doing an example of trading what I thought was real-time price, and I had no reason not to think it wasn't because I have real-time data through TradingView. And my student was like, "Hey, can you answer this? Why is that showing delayed data?" And at first, I didn't understand what he was asking me. I'm like, "What? What is he talking about? Live? Is this live? What is he talking about?" And then I look at the top of the chart of the video I'm showing, and it has that little, I guess it was like an amber colored or something, and the letter D, I think is what it looks like. And then I was like, wow, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. So I later found out that I had to do the questionnaire, or not the questionnaire, but to tell them what my status was. And once that was done, they reinstated my live data. But I felt uncomfortable for a second because I'm thinking to myself, if that would have been on Twitter, you guys would have crucified me and forgot the myriad of examples of me calling it before it happens, trading it, and trading it with a live account where it's not a demo. You would have forgot everything and placed all of your hopes and prayers on that one event where you now can say it's fraud because look at that right there. And I told them in my private mentorship, I said, I'm so glad that this happened after you have seen so many examples of me do this in front of you live, so many examples of me being able to explain it before it happens, and it's not during a paid mentorship. Because if that would have been a paid mentorship, that would have went over like gangbusters for people that don't like me. And for some of you, you're thinking to yourself, wow, we never would have known that. But that's the reality sometimes. Sometimes, when I'm looking at price, I'm laying in my bed. I wasn't in my trading room. I didn't have all my monitors in front of me. It was just me laying in the bed with the puppies. And to me, because I'm not looking to see if it's delayed data or live data, because I'm assuming that my phone's pulling the live data like it would normally would anyway. I'm just executing on it. I'm just doing it and taking the trade and showing them this is where the stop would be. This is the target, whatnot, over and over and over again. And then when I share the video, to me, it's what I've always done. It's no different than anything else. But it would be totally different had it been done here on Twitter. And you never would have known this had I not brought it up here today. But that's how I want to be with all of you. I want to be forthcoming. I want to be able to, where you don't have to worry about, and there's no ulterior motive. There's nothing, no catch. I really want to see you succeed. And there's been the greatest effort I could make to be able to inspire you to do what it's going to require you to do to learn how to do this. And it's available for people to make a model that's completely unique to yourself. There's enough information on that YouTube channel to take and build yourself something completely unique that no other student of mine is using. And you could have that as your model for the rest of your life and pass it on to your children. Never write a book about it, never teach it as a mentorship, never give signals on it, and be wildly profitable and happy. I would love to see that happen, you know? But some of you are going to try to complicate this when I didn't complicate it myself. And you got to be very careful not to do that. Just because I have lots of things in my toolbox doesn't mean you got to bring every Phillips head and flathead screwdriver to the job that only requires a hammer. Yeah, you have to simply settle down and realize what it is that you're trying to do. Because strip down technical science real quick for me, ICT. Make it simple so that way I can grasp it. We're looking for a time, a period of 1 month, where the likelihood of the market to reach to a group of orders that are resting in the marketplace above the current market price. Where would they be resting? Logically, it would be above a singular high or a swing high, or above relative equal highs that are in close proximity. The one that has the relative equal highs, that's going to take precedence over a singular high because the idea that it inspires resistance. Any inefficiency above price is a likely draw on liquidity. It's further compounded to likely if your weekly analysis is suggesting that it's going to try to gravitate up anyway. So then what have you done? You've taken a stage where the market is predisposed by your analysis, and you can be wrong. How do I remove that? You don't. You're always embracing uncertainty as a trader. You are a manager of uncertainty. That's what trading is. That's it. You have no control of the outcome. You have no control of the absolute amount of drawdown or profit or the success or failure of your next trade. You can't control that outcome. You submit yourself to the likelihood that if it does this, I can profit this much. But if it does this, I stand to lose this, and it's okay. I can still be in the game, and it won't rattle me to the point where I am afraid to take another trade. That is a big balancing act. And so many of you discount that, thinking it's not going to be significant of a factor for you. When it is the very underlying factor that's keeping you to be successful. And you know it many times, but you keep pushing it aside and ignoring it and saying, no, I just need to find a better entry strategy. I need to know when it's a right shift in market structure. Fella, listen, okay, I see you tweeting to me. You have to spend more time on the higher time frames and understanding how to read the tape. And by doing that and spending more time watching real price action, you won't fall victim to market structure shifts that are either fake or actual. There's no shortcut to it. So it's just a matter of time studying the charts, okay? I see your tweet. I'm not trying to be rude by not responding to you, but I gave you 31 years of my time already. 5 minutes isn't going to change it because I already said these things in the discussions and the Twitter spaces. Time, experience, that's what you're asking for, and I can't give that to you. I can only lend you mine, and mine is no longer being lent today, is the day it ends. But many of you are going to discount the very things I've talked more about and say that they're not going to apply to you. And then when you fail, you really know that you failed by not listening to the things I told you to focus primarily on, and you're still going to deny it. And to fight that and combat that, you'll just go and you'll join the small rank of little Dick Daniels out there that say ICT concepts don't work. When you have a whole army of people that are coming forward, proving it they do. And they're excited. They're happy because they found something that makes sense to them. And I'm amazed to see how fast it caught fire. and it's spreading like crazy. And to me, it's a little intimidating to have my name tossed around like it is and saying, hey, look, thanks to this and thanks to that. So I can see very easily how if I was allowed to do this when I was 20, that I could have been a totally different person. And I would never be leaving. I would be, trying to pump it up and build it even more. And every affiliate offer, I'd be taking it because it was about ego then. It's not about ego. I told you I was going to teach you. I told you I was going to do my best to make it easy, not where everyone's going to be successful because that's not practical. But there's a lot of things that you're going to have to grow and go through slowly in that growth. And there's no way to make it easier by trying to speed it up. To try to speed it up makes it actually more complicated and harder for you. So you have to spend time in those. Even when you start making money, when you find consistency, you start finding profitability, that's going to be an adjustment. Like you're going to wake up and you're going to think, I just had a really good week. Man, that felt good. I can't wait until Monday. Why? Why'd you say that? Because you already feel that dopamine wearing off. And you didn't get any more people tapping you on social media saying, you're fucking amazing. Oh, how'd you do that? I want to be like you. Where being content with, I followed my model. It did exactly what I expected it to do. I handled myself appropriately. I was not influenced by greed or fear. I did not feel any anxiety about the trade. I trusted what I had learned in price action. It's going to repeat, and I'm content with waiting for a sound setup the next time it comes, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait soundly. I'm not going to rush to get to the next setup. That's going to be hard because winning feels real good. Sucks when you lose money. It sucks when you feel like you can't figure it out. It's bad. It's really bad. But when you start finding consistency and profitability, then the real challenge kicks in. That's when you're going to have to really learn who you are. Because everybody starts off as a loser. Everybody does. Everybody starts off as clueless, no way of making money, doing all the wrong things, reckless, over leveraging, blowing your account. Screw it. I can afford to do another reset. It's worth it. Let me try to see if I can get a lottery win. Everybody in the world right now that has funded accounts are doing that same thing right now. And some of them are doing mentorships. So, I mean, to me, you know, you have the greatest lessons in your career as a trader when you start making money. And for the people that never made money, that don't make any sense. That's how you know they don't have any experience. Because when you start making money, your mind starts doing funny things. Number one, you think you're better than you really are. And then you think that you can do any and everything. And then you start thinking outside the parameters of what you're able and capable of doing. Say, I could do that. I could do this. And then what you're doing is you're trying to do outside of what your model is calling you to do. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to be an Olympic contender when Olympics has never been a factor. No one, when you sat down to learn from me, your intentions were not, or you shouldn't have been, I'm going to win the Robbins Cup. Now, I'm sure some of you, since it's become a hot topic again this year, you're thinking, well, shit, I'm going to learn. I'm going to make ICT proud. If you do, join it and place it all. I'm proud of you. I'm proud. If you learn how to trade, whether you ever do a contest or not, I'm proud of you. You don't need to impress me with that. To me, Robbins is a litmus test because I have constantly rubbed it into the noses of everybody out there that says they're a good trader, they make money, they got something that doesn't stink, they're the best this and best that. But they won't ever do that. Nobody's ever really done that. And it's been a shocking revelation to see how many people avoided it because it's audited. And if you're going to come out and show the world your account number in the beginning before any singular trade is ever taken, that better fucking match at the end of the year and show every monthly statement so that way no money was added. And there's nobody can argue with that. Nobody can argue with that. No one can say that's faked. No one can say you used multiple accounts, none of that stuff. But you didn't sit down to have that as your goal when you started to learn how to trade. It might have been, I want to, prove to my girlfriend or my boyfriend that, I'm worth something. And for me, that's how it was when I was a younger man. Because my very young wife and myself being a, younger man too, when she left me, that just totally wrecked me. Like it didn't give me a sense of value. It gave me a sense of I'm worthless. And I was doing everything in my power at the time to be a hospice nurse to my grandmother, go to college, work on my degree, and also work what little part time I could do at the bookstore at the school. So, I mean, I was in class all day long, all year round. I didn't take any semesters off. So I was trying to do everything I could to speed through it. And what was the sacrifice? My marriage. But it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. But at the time, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. So when I first sat down and started learning how to trade, it was to try to show her that she made the mistake. You picked the wrong guy. Like you have no idea what I'm going to become. I'm going to do this. You thought that this guy going to inherit a grocery store that the neighborhood actually shut down, which I got to tell you again because I know some of you already know, but some people don't. My first wife left me for a 40-year-old man who was expecting to inherit a grocery store that was in our neighborhood. And when they found out that my wife left me for him, the whole neighborhood ran a tab up on groceries for 2 months and never paid the bill, and they bankrupted them. Now, unbeknownst to me and my family, that they were all in cahoots to do that. Later, once it happened, they all came to our family and said, "Look, we know what they did, and that was wrong." Yeah, you can say what you want to say about that, but that's respectable shit. That's the way down home folks do things. And when you come from a small town, that's the kind of shit that'll happen to you. So, you know, you can say what you want about it. I didn't ask for it. I would have never said to do it. But punishment comes, and God says, don't let anything he brings together be divided. Don't do it. And I've often many times, I said this in Twitter spaces, my first wife, I would love very much for her to see who I am. And I often wondered, does she ever peek in and try to see where I'm at and all? What is she doing today? I have had friends and family members tell me that she's had a really rough life though. She's been married a couple times, kids from different people, and just not doing very well. But not to gloat, but I would very much like one day to sit down with her and tell her, look, when I told you when I was 16 that I was not going to be the average person. I'm not going to be the average person. And I know your dad at the time isn't going to, hear that shit. Because if someone came in here and told my daughter and told me, yeah, I'm going to be, I'd be like, listen, fucker, unless you start studying my YouTube channel, I don't believe a fucking thing you're fucking saying. Get out of here with that horse shit. So I get it. As a dad, I could understand that. But yeah, I meant it. And every time I said something and then I had intent to really make it happen, I've always done it. It just sometimes took longer than I wanted it to. And for some of you, trading is going to be that very thing. And it took me 6 years, 6 years. What my mentorship students basically experienced from the 2016, when it closed that year off, they have seen that amount of time. That amount of time. That's how long it took me to get to the point of understanding where I was the problem, what I kept doing to cause the problem, what I didn't know, and what I needed to know. And I was finalized in that. I knew exactly everything I needed to know at that time. How many of you that are just now starting that feel the adversities of learning this, and you've probably been in it for a couple months or maybe this year, and you haven't found consistency yet? Are you willing to put in another 5 years with no guarantee of the outcome? I guarantee the majority of you are not willing to do that. Truth be told, If it would have took me 10 years, I still would have worked those 10 years to get it. That's why God gave me obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not a weakness, it's a superpower. I'm not fucking lazy. I'm not someone that's going to tap out. I'm going to stay with it. I always over deliver. And a perfect example is I should have been out of here an hour and a half ago. So that's how we roll around here. So you're going to have periods where you want to throw in a towel. You're going to say, I can't get this. That means you need a break. That's all it means. Take a week, maybe two. Don't look at anything I've produced. Don't look at the charts. Don't look at the markets. Don't talk to people that trade. Don't go on social media. Leave yourself a distance from it. And just allow yourself to decompress. It's how you manage yourself. Even successful winning traders need to do this. It's not bad, it's a good thing. You have to take a little break. You have to schedule a holiday, a trading holiday. And I treat the holiday season as my built-in, hey, this is a perfect time to do it. Why should I be worried about charts when I have my family, pining to be with me, spend more time with me? And I'm going to miss those memories as well, too, in addition to everything else. No, it's not worth it. When you work your job, you schedule many times a year in advance. We're going to go, when I get my vacation time in, we're going to save up, put this much money aside, and then we're going to go to whatever that destination is for a week. How much time and effort do you put into planning your typical annual holiday or vacation versus how much time have you put into putting in and scheduling a hiatus from trading, even during peak trading hours and times? You're not doing it. Why? Because you got to push your edge, baby. Or edge. Keep pushing your edge. You'll make it dull. How do you stay sharp? You rest your mind. What are you doing on the weekend? It shouldn't be more than an hour, two at most, with anything with the markets. You have to rest. Take your mind away from it. Constantly being engaged with it. It's too much. It's too much. So you have to distance yourself. And some of the greatest lessons you're going to learn is when you start finding out that you're better as a trader when you have scheduled only 3 trades a week at maximum. I said week, not day, not session. Yeah. When you come to the realization that the best fucking setups that you're looking for the week are only 2 or 3, doesn't mean you can't make money doing all kinds of other shit because you watch me do it and you watch my students do it. I'm saying the cream of the crop, the best, the choices, the medallion setups, 2 or 3 at most per week. You find them on the 4 hour. How often are you spending your time on that time frame? Until I started teaching actively around the weekly chart, you never even considered it. You're always looking at those 5-minute charts. It's 1-minute charts. Now the flavor is sub 1 minute. Those 1-minute charts ain't going to do a fucking thing that ain't already determined on that weekly chart, on that daily chart, on that 4-hour chart, on that 1-hour chart, that 15-minute chart, that 5, and that 1. The storyline with all those time frames, what it should do, at what time it should do it, that's when those second charts are going to behave like you want them to. Otherwise, you're going to chase things that aren't really there. You'll draw lines on shit that don't have any bearing on what price is going to do. You'll go through things you're scribbling on, and all of a sudden, you'll do something you weren't expecting. So you have to have a higher time frame perspective. No matter what you're trying to do, you should have that because it'll teach you and help guide you in trying to trade with less. Because commissions add up. If you're going to be a high frequency trader, this is expected. You're going to be spending a lot of money in commission. Probably 35 to 40% of what you start trading with will be spent in commission. What? Mm-hmm. Yep. And especially if you're trading with 1 minute or less and you're doing lots of setups, those commission costs will go through the roof. Sure, sure. You might make a lot of money, but you're going to have a lot of money coming off that bottom line that you may not be aware of. And if it starts bothering you psychologically, you're going to have to make adjustments. Now, for me, the way I look at it is as long as I'm net profitable and I'm consistently profitable, I could do rat's ass. I don't give shit really what the commission costs are because I can outpace that like I can outpace, you know, inflation. It's not a big deal. I don't give a shit if gasoline goes to $20 a gallon. I'm still driving my 8 cylinders. I'm not doing it. I'm not changing it. I'm not getting an economy car. That's the whole point of making money, to afford things comfortably and not give a shit. Look, I don't look at price tags. But I did I want to bring this up. On Twitter, I like to subtly troll. Like sometimes it's a dry humor that it goes unnoticed. I posted a tweet with a Bugatti and I said, "Dare me," because I saw somebody with a Bugatti talking shit to me in their profile picture, but they probably drive a Toyota Corolla. But the idea of spending $3 million on any car is a IQ test that I can pass by not even fucking considering it. Okay, you're an idiot if you do that. If you spend $1 million on a car, you're a fucking clown. Nobody should spend that much money. Nobody should spend that much money on a car. Okay, is it beautiful? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Fuck no, it's not worth that. That's an IQ test. Okay, it's like wearing masks in a car by yourself. Okay, you're a fucking idiot. Stop doing it. So if you are on the fence about doing things, at an accelerated pace, lots of trades. I'm going to trade this and this and that. My advice is try to focus on the other end of the spectrum. Try to trade less. And you're going to find a greater balance in your personal life, which is absolutely essential. You have to be able to have that balance in life. Because think about it. How much influence does your life have on your trades right now? A lot. If you're going to be honest, it has a great deal of impact, whether it is positive or negative. If you're easily hurt, if you're in a toxic relationship, or well, like I did when I was younger, before I learned how to trade, I went through a divorce. One that, for a girl that, I was willing to take her back for anything. It was my first love, my first, physical relationship, like everything. My heart was in every bit of it. And truth be told, I would have took her back. Some of you men out there were like, hell no, I would have. I wanted to be with her that much. I wanted to be with her that much. And I guess in a lot of ways, I've always been a hopeless romantic, and I, I, I had hopes to spend life with her in a specific manner, being successful as a systems analyst. That's what I was really at the time basing all of my future success on, not trading. And trading happened as a response after the divorce was settled, which we backdated just to get it done because I wanted to get it finalized. But all of those things in your personal life, they're going to be drivers to make you do things impulsively. And you're going to have to wrestle with that and say, okay, am I following my model right now? Or am I acting on something that is outside the marketplace that I'm trying to pamper myself with or compensate for? Now, pampering is where you're already doing well. Everything's going good, and you just want to, fluff yourself up. I'm not feeling a bad, experience in my personal life. Nobody really hates me. My relationships are golden. My health is good. I just want to get in here and just do something because I'm good. You're going to have to find a way to keep that from happening. The opposite end of the spectrum, which is majority of the time what you're going to experience, is the adverse things that happen in your life. The people at your job are getting your fucking nerves, and somebody else that should have never got a promotion that you should have got, you were overlooked and they got it. Or you're just abused by poor management. Or you had a relationship fall out. or you discover maybe infidelity, and the uncertainty of whether it's true or not now plagues you, and you're thinking, I can't leave this person because I'm now codependent. See, these are all things that trading books just aren't going to talk about. But that's the reality of it. And I lived all that shit. And I wish that I would have had someone tackle them, in discussions where I could start putting things together as a process or a protocol to respond to them. How would you act if your life partner, the one that you have set aside the rest of your life to be with, you discovered, not maybe proof, but discovered the likelihood of infidelity? What would that do to your mind? How would you think about things, not just them and your relationship, but how would you think about yourself? Am I not good enough? Why would they want to do it anybody else? What am I not doing for them? Why aren't they appreciating what I'm doing? Did I perhaps offend them to the point where I've maybe lost my appeal physically? Did I give them a reason to think that I'm doing this? You're going to have all these questions. And what is it going to do? It's going to fester inside of you. And for some of you that don't have the confidence or openness in your relationship, say, hey, let's talk about something. I need to get this figured out here. You're going to be the ones that have it worse because you're going to keep it to yourself, thinking if I mention it and it ain't true, they're going to get angry. And they're going to think, oh, you're thinking that because you're doing it. Do you see how all these things can compound? And all these swirling what if thinking that may or may not be true are going to cause you to feel what? Uncomfortable. And that uncomfortable state of mind in a trading account is the devil's playground. Man, you give him a moment to step into that account during those times, you are getting wrecked. Do you have the composition to say, hey, I'm not thinking clearly right now. I don't care how it looks on that chart. I don't care how long I've been waiting for that setup. If things aren't right in your mind, you don't push that button. Some of you aren't going to have that strength, because that's what it is. It's strength. You have to sort your personal shit before you get in here and start risking money. Because a clouded mind that's wrestling with uncertainties that are outside the chart, when you're about to take on financial risk, wrestling with financial uncertainty, what have you just done? You've compounded the difficulty to levels that are astronomical. Are you really going to be able to think about it clearly if you are wrestling with, if he is cheating, if she is cheating, if they do give that promotion to Carl, that motherfucker, all that stuff that you're worrying about, and then now you're in a trade and your trade isn't going for you right away, and you're in a little bit of drawdown. That little bit of drawdown, that 3 ticks or 3 handles, and your stop loss is 10. And you're thinking, oh shit, this is going to turn on me. Why would you think that? Because everything else in the world right now is coming down on you like a ton of bricks. You can't trade that way effectively. You can't. And to do it, you're asking yourself to start becoming an Olympic boxer today, and you've never had a pair of boxing gloves on in your life. That's the equivalence of it. That's like going and saying, yeah, let me spar Mike Tyson in his fucking prime. I feel lucky. Yeah, sure you do. And that's how many times, and this is exactly what I did when I was younger. You think, oh, it's going to work out for me. And, I feel lucky today. Yeah, I'm lucky I survived. That's about the extent of it. You wreck yourself entirely. It's so easy to talk yourself into problematic situations. And it's so hard to guard yourself from them. Think about it. You do it every day in your personal life. You invite yourself into conversations you should damn well know you shouldn't be a part of. You're trying to mind everybody else's fucking business but your own. And you want to be good at trading. You're going to hurt yourself. Those same characteristics are going to many times prevent you from being successful. I'm telling you, if I would have put all this stuff in a book for trading, it would have been the least purchased book, but for people that have tried to trade and lost money, it would be such a highly reviewed book because they would be able to say, you know what, that's exactly how I fucked up. But you're not going to see it that way. I'm not sure if you heard all that vibration. I just realized my head was against the pillow. I'm on my big ass sectional down in the basement. And I got real comfortable here and laid my head back. So I was rubbing the head back and forth as I'm talking with my hands, like I said. As I did that, my head's moving around and my Bose headset was rubbing against this pillow. So if you heard all kinds of noise, I apologize for that. But let's see what time it is here. I'll go till 12. That's good enough for the last one, right? But there's so much more to trading than just simply finding a good entry strategy or a bias filter. It's predominantly around you as the person. And I came into trading with all kinds of baggage. And it just, I was the poster boy for everything to have in your repertoire at your disposal to guarantee failure. When I first started to do this stuff, it was all in my back pocket. It was ready to be taken out at any time. I was a card carrying member of the Loser Society, and I was trying to do everything I can to win this woman back. So I can tell from experience, I can preach it from personal experience that those types of things don't equate to success. I had to find a value in myself outside of her. And in today's society, and it's a shame because social media has really cultivated a lot of this bullshit. It's not a good thing. It's meant to divide us. It's meant to cause us to be toxic to one another, invent hateful, spiteful things because the person that's saying it is just a vile creature that's not happy with themselves right now. People that are successful, you know what the number one characteristic is? They want to help other people, and they have very little to say bad about anyone else. Think about it. You know it's true. If they have all this time and energy to talk negative about other people, they couldn't possibly be happy. They couldn't possibly be content with where they're at in life. They couldn't be. I don't have time to spend on tearing down somebody else. I might throw a ribbing joke about, someone using an indicator or whatnot, but I'm not going to spend my lifetime, trying to tear somebody down. I got too much positivity going on. I'm too much of a positive person to live that way. And some of you are going to discover that you aren't prepared for success, even though you might reach it